Hello guys, Nigel here with you, and I've got another little tool review for you today. There is a company in the UK called Etched Designs, and they make a range of little photo etch tools and bits and pieces for the Land Rover. I've done a review before on the Land Rover parts that he does, and they do a lot of model railway stuff as well. Now, Peter watches my channel and he saw my Bronco stuff I did the other day, and I was talking about, for beginners, for folding brass and everything. So we've got, from the bottom end, we've got the ordinary sort of pliers, but get them without serrations in. Don't go using pliers like this for bending your photo etch because you make marks in them. You get ordinary pliers like this with nice square edge and no serrations in them. And then next step up from that, you can get your proper Tamiya photo etch folding pliers, and these are great. The only thing I don't like about them, as you can see there, you've got the it all moves about, so not very good there. And then we've got our sort of folders, our Holden folds, like these is the small one, there's the larger one, and these are great for the bigger jobs, like if you're doing Bombays in a 72nd scale or whatever. But sometimes they can be a little bit awkward getting the part in position, holding it, doing it up, especially for tiny parts, like a lot of tiny parts, like people that do ship models and stuff. There I go, I mentioned ships again. It makes you happy, doesn't it? So what Peter's come up with is this, and this is actually the Fold Assist tool. Okay, now I've got the camera zoomed in, so if I'm out of position, I'm sorry. I'm going to improve the light as well. Now this is basically a little sheet of photo etch, as you can see. It's quite thick. Let's see just how thick it is actually. It is actually, it's 0.44 thick, so it's probably 0.5 20 thou brass, so it's quite thick, so it's going to be quite a sturdy little thing. Now, I couldn't find any instructions or anything, but I did go to the website Etched Designs, and on there are 3 pictures which I'll put up now, so you can see the 3 pictures, and you can see that basically we fold this up and solder it together or glue it together, and then it becomes a little folding tool. Now I've spoken to Peter and I know exactly how it works now, but I couldn't work it out when I first saw it. So what we're going to do, we've looked at this now, we've seen it. What we're going to do now is actually get it off the fret, clean it all up, fold it up and put it together. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so first things first, can it off. I've got my little acrylic mat here that I use, and this little blade ain't going to do it. You ain't going to cut through this thick brass with this little blade. Problem that is, there is a health and safety warning that I would like to give you with these. If you start really losing loads of pressure, they will snap. Okay, and when they snap, they generally sort of break about here, and that generally flies up in the air, and it could go in your eye or whatever. It could go behind your glasses or whatever. So you don't want to be really loading these up. They're meant for gentle cutting. If you're pushing hard with these, your blade's blunt. Sharpen it, put a new blade in. And also they do, if you heavy scraping with them that way, they will snap as well. Obviously they're very weak through there, and they're going to be fairly brittle because they've got to be quite hard. So unfortunately they will break. So be very careful with that. Then we've got our photo etch snips. These are Xuron ones, and these are, you can see that rather than your sort of nippers that you use for cutting plastic parts off, these have a scissor action. So you could use these, but they leave quite a large nib behind. So I've got this here. This is my big old heavy duty knife. I can get in there and it will cut through it without too much problem. Okay, so here we go. So you can see that it will actually cut it. If you get a bigger knife, then it will cut through it. And this is where I don't like to use a tile either, because I used to use a tile, and a couple of times I'd be cutting and the knife would skate across the tile, and if it skates towards you, then, well, you can guess the outcome. And I like to use a round blade when I cut photo etch, and then I get this rocking action, you see, which is nice. So we can cut this off of here. Blimey, this is tough. This is tough as old boots. Here we go. Now that I've cut through that one already, I can just snap that one off. There we are. And then this third piece, luckily there's only 3 pieces. I mean, you could saw this, you could do all sorts to get around it. There we are. In fact, it probably would have been better to cut from the back through, because it's etched halfway through on one side. Cut through the back through probably would have cut a lot better. But I'm going to keep those bits, a bit of brass there. It'd be quite handy, a bit of thick brass like that. So I'm going to come along now and file it off. And I've got a proper old file out the garage here for doing this, because my little files probably won't handle it very well. So we're just going to file off these nibs. In fact, I'll use my diamond files. I got these from a pound shop, believe it or not, and they're bloody brilliant. But they're no good for a fine photo etch because they're too coarse. So we're just going to file these nibs off. That's them filed off. Oops. I think what I've actually done on this one is filed the whole blooming tang off that assembles it. It'll be alright, we'll get it together. So these nibs are on the end of here. Okay, so that there needs to be straight, because I think that is our actual folding blade. But we can do that afterwards. We could always, when it's all assembled, we could do that on there. So you can see here that it's etched on both sides for folding, which means it's going to have to be folded both ways. Now you normally fold into the etch. So if you've got an etched on this side, you fold into it. Now I don't know if this is going to be man enough. For this thickness of brass. It's like, what came first, the folder or the folder? Yeah, it's fine. I'm going to go just beyond 90 degrees, so it's got a bit of spring pressure to hold it together. And this is where it gets awkward. If you've got tiny parts, it's holding this in your hand, positioning everything and doing it up is very difficult. Okay, just past the 90. I just want it to be just past 90 so it just closes up and holds everything together. So now I'm going to turn this around. Actually, I don't need to turn it around. I can do it this way around. And I'm going to come in here. With this one. This is just bending on one side, so I'm going to bend that up like that, and do the same on this side. Now I'm assuming that's just going to go together, so I'm just going to pull that apart and just over bend that so it kind of springs in, if you like. And then this here is going to slot into those holes on the sides. So okay, so that's the main body of it together now. Just off camera, I just tried to I'm trying to get everything to spring together, but it's not impossible, because that there, if I want the sides to spring in, then this one here is hanging out, and if I get that one springing in, then the sides are hanging out. So it's not going to be easy. I have to clamp it with something when we actually come to solder it. So that's that there, and then that there is going to slot down inside like so, and it's going to go into that tab at the back and into the tabs in the base in there. You see the parts coming through in there, and then this part here, I wonder if we should solder that together now. I think what I'll do is solder this outer frame together now, and then if we mess up, then we can take it apart without having it all enclosed in. So let's get ready for doing some solder. Right, I've got my solder here. This is Powerflow Flux. I like to use this paste stuff, especially with bigger stuff, because it's the liquid stuff tends to just evaporate as soon as you put any heat on it. So we get this in. There's plenty in there. We don't worry about having too much. Okay, and we'll get it on all the joints, get it on the outside of there as well. And then for this, I'm not going to use an iron, I'm going to use a lamp, a little blow lamp I've got here. This is a little soldering set you get. Oroda Solder Pro 70s, great little thing. So I'm going to light this. Whoops. Turn it right down. I've got a bottle of water here just in case. So I'm going to come along with some heat. Just get some heat into it. Whoops. Just get some heat into it. Let's see if I can make the solder go in. There we go. That's gone in. That's gone in. I'll put some more heat in there and hopefully get that solder to disperse a bit. And I want to drop more in there. This is the first time I've done this. I have never soldered with a blow lamp. Okay, so we can now do the back end. Whoops. I'm happy with that. Could have been a bit neater with the solder, but never mind. Turn that off. And then we'll look at the back end. Here we go, a little bit less heat this time. Try the lamp turned down a bit. Get some heat into there and see if the solder will... I guess the object is to get the brass hot enough for the solder to go in. And once you get the heat in there, the solder should start to move about a bit. There we go. My clothes peg is starting to burn. I'll put a drop more flux on there. And that might pull the solder down. I also want to put a little bit of pressure on here. Nope, it's not having it. Okay, there we go. So that's that bit done. Let that cool down and I'll come back. Right, I've given it a little clean up. You see there, it's looking lovely on there now. A little clean up with a little sanding stick. Looking lovely. So what we do now is this piece is going to go in. This is going to go in the middle here. Okay, so there's a groove in the front there. It's going to slot into there and then slot into that slot in the back, and then there's two slots down in there. So once again, I'm going to do this before I put the main thing together. So you've got that there like that now. So we just put some flux on there. I'm going to put some flux down in here. That should do us just for that bit. Now we have to be careful now not to get it too hot, because where's my little plastic vice? This is a great little thing. I don't want to get it too hot because obviously it'll melt the other solder. What I sometimes do is use different temperature solders, but that's not what you came for, was it? So let's get this lit again. Keep the temperature down. And then I'm just going to get some heat in. Look at that, it's flowing everywhere but into the joint. Never mind. And we'll turn it around. There we go. Right, I think I'll have to put some more flux on there. Drop more flux and that might pull the solder into that joint then. Nope. Drop more solder, I think there's enough heat in it. Yes, there is. There we go. Bear in mind guys, this is the first time I've done soldering with a blow lamp. So, and then I've got a little bowl of water. I'm just going to dunk it in there just to cool it off. Shake it off on a paper towel. And then come along with my little diamond file. Give it a clean up. Good little project this. Good little 10-minute project for someone. And you can practice your soldering. The thing is, this brass is so thick, it's very unlikely that you're going to do any damage. And then we'll do the same on that back one there. That's what I'm doing guys, just clean off the excess, and then I've got a little 400 grit stick and I can polish up the brass and make it look all nice and shiny. And it'll be a great little tool for the toolbox then. There we go. Okay, so that's that bit all held together. Right, so now we've got another bit of folding to do. So this piece here, this front edge here is our folding blade. So that's going to be going in there, and then this box kind of, this has got to fold into that kind of shape, so it falls inside there. If I think of it, I'll put the picture up now. So I'm going to grab my folder, and we always start on the outermost fold, and then we can pull out and do the others. So get underneath there with a blade just to start it off. So that one's got to be 90. Undo that. And then this one here is going to fold the other way. Okay, so we'll go onto there like so, and then fold that one up. Again, that one's got to be 90. Now, if you haven't got one of these, you could do this with a pair of pliers, I'm sure. And then this one here, as I say, we start with the one furthest in. I'll come around to the side here and do this one. And this one's got to be, it's not 90, is it? It's like 45 or something to fit in there, look. So that's got to fit in there. Like so, that's going to clip in. Be careful because I won't be able to get it apart again. So that's going to clip in there, and then this one here has got to fold over at a slight angle. I wish I had two of these so I could have done one practicing before I came on camera, then it wouldn't have been so boring for you to watch. Right, after a bit of jiggery pokery and pushing it about, it's gone in. So that's the most important edge. You've got this blade edge at the front here, and you want that to make sure you've got it into all the little tabs and everything. You've got these two tabs coming through there, look. Make sure it's all properly aligned, and then we'll deal with the back end afterwards once we've got the front done. So I'm going to put a closed peg there to hold it. Okay, and then I can put my flux down in here. Around the outside. With the Buffalo Girls, because they go around the outside. And as far as I know, I'm not a soldering expert at all, but as far as I know, the solder will follow the path where the flux is, because the flux is cleaning the metal as it dissolves. So That's all done there. So we'll get my little plastic vice again, the right way around. And hopefully I'll be able to do a nice job. Went out. Okay, so again we're going to be careful with the heat because I don't want to melt the solder that's already on there. It's almost hot enough. Here we go. Get the heat on there and that solder should flow around that joint. There we are, we can see the solder's come through on that side, so we know that it's gone through at the top. Whoops. There we are, we can see the solder on that side now, so we know that's gone in there. So I'm going to turn the little torch off. Again, get my bowl of water. So that'll go in there. And then, once again, file that off. We can do that afterwards. And then this back end, I'm going to clamp it in and do the same again. Right, there we go, all done, all folded up, all soldered and polished up, or cleaned up with a I almost said a memory stick then, with a sanding sticks, and just give it a wipe over and make it look nice, you may as well, haven't you? So there we go, that's it, that's the PH Designs, see on there, PH Designs fold assist tool. Excuse my dirty fingers, this is where I've been sanding. But you can see here, with this tiny little piece of brass that I've got here, this is a trumpeter kit, and that's, you know, you can see it's got two fold lines in it. So if I were to do it in this, I've got to sort of get it in there and try and position it and hold it and try and lock it in everything. And what Peter was saying was, you know, it just makes life so much easier because you've cut it off you've cut the fret off the sheet. You've got your file, you've given it a clean up, you've got rid of the nibs. Okay, you've got it on there now. You get your razor blade, you come along on your folding mat, yeah, and then you go on that one, get under with the blade, fold it up, on that one, get under with the blade, fold it up, job done. And you can see that it also allows you to go right over as well and make these little brackets up really easy. So this is something that is going to come in very, very handy, like for the Titanic. There's little tiny brackets and stuff on the KA set. You've got tiny brackets on the inside of the bulwarks on the well decks. So it's going to be really handy for them, rather than trying to pick them up and hold them and fold them. You know, and the thing is with these are great. But don't get me wrong, but they do have one big downfall, and I've mentioned this before, and this is what I don't like about them. If you look there, you can see how much you can pull the blades out of line, and when you're actually folding, sometimes they will move, and it's, you know, it's annoying when they've twisted. It depends how you hold them as well. I mean, you can make them, I don't know if my set's just dodgy, probably the ones with the shorter necks on are probably better, but you know, I'll just show you that again. We'll get this fret wherever it is with these bits on, here we go, so I can get that part off of there like so. Okay, this blade is as blunt as anything. Let's just imagine I've cleaned the nibs up No worrying about trying to get it to sit in the hold and fold. Just do it in there like that, on there, underneath it, bump, job done. And then you can pick it up your tweezers and put it on your model. So it's a great little tool. And as I say, you can also fold over, you know, right over on itself. And if the edge gets worn out, come along with a file, you know, like this garage file, and just run it along the edge there, run it up and down on there a couple of times, just to square everything up, and you've got a new sharp edge again. So you know you'll get quite a lot of uses out of it. And if you don't try and bend anything too thick, which I'm sure you won't, then it's going to last you, well, can't see what would last you for bloody ever. So there we are. So that there is available from PH Designs, phdesignetchings.co.uk. Basically do is just go into Google, put PH Designs, and I think it's the second one down. The first one is a Railway Modelers Forum. The second one down is actually PH Designs themselves. Have a look in there, go to the Tools tab, and it's a total of £4.75. It's, you know, £4.75, it's a bargain. So there we go, that's been the review and the build of that. If you are going to comment, you know, why do you use a wooden peg? Because I don't have a steel clamp with me. And yes, it's the first time I've used this for soldering with brass. So I remember using this for something, I was annealing with it, wasn't I? But it's the first time I've ever used it for soldering with brass. So I think I would have been better with a brazing rod. I'm very good at brazing actually, but not so good with this, obviously. But I think it looks okay in the end, doesn't it? So there we go. That's it there. Go get yourself one. Thanks for watching. Happy modelling, and bye-bye.